Now let's go ahead and create a portrait render for our character. And before we do that, I'll show you something here. We are going to be showing our character up close. We're going to be rendering him up close, right? And if we render our guy up close, or if you're doing a female up close, it's really going to be noticeable if your character is too symmetrical. So what I mean by that is, if you guys look at my reference pictures here, you could see that if you look at the eyes, they're not completely exactly the same. What I mean by that is, this is maybe open up a little bit more than this one. Maybe this one is a little bit closed a little bit. And then maybe if you look at the nose, this area is kind of lifted up and it's a little bit down. And yeah, there's asymmetrical forms there, and even look at the eyebrows, okay? So I want you guys to just observe your references and see how you could add some asymmetrical forms to your character. That way, when you render it up very up close, it's not going to look fake. Okay, it's gonna look more believable, because none of us humans are perfect. Not even animals. None of them are perfect. We all have some asymmetrical attributes to us. Okay, so with that said, let's go back to our Blender file. Okay, where we have our particle hair system, because we are going to be moving these around, and also we are going to be moving the mesh around. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and select my character mesh, Shift H to isolate that, and I am looking at my reference here. I think what I want to do is I want to kind of lift up his brow ridge a little bit, and then maybe this is going to be a little bit down, so his eyebrow is going to be down a little bit. Very subtle. I'm not going to exaggerate too much. It's just going to be very subtle. And then since this is up a little bit, this could be open up slightly, the eyes. And maybe the nose, I'm going to lift this side up a little bit, and then the lips, lift it up a little bit here. So that said, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to my sculpt mode, and I'm going to make sure that I turn off symmetry. I'm going to go to my grab brush, and yeah, just going to go ahead and, first of all, I'm going to mask this out, so I'm not touching the eyes yet. I'm going to go to my grab brush and just slowly lift this up. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to lift this up, I think, in the Z direction. So I'm going to lock everything except the Z direction. So I'm going to go and just slightly lift it up. Very subtle, not too much. Yeah, something like that. And Alt M to unmask. And then maybe this here, I'm going to maybe kind of open this up slightly. Oops. I accidentally drew something there. I'm going to go to object mode. Yeah, I think I accidentally created a note there. I'm going to remove that. There you go. Okay, so back here, go to sculpt mode. Yeah, so for this one here, maybe I could kind of lift this up slightly. And this one, I could lift it up slightly. This time, I'm going to go ahead and turn these off. And I'm going to go lift it up like this. And this one, I could lift it up slightly. Maybe I could kind of pull this down and then this up. Go. And then maybe kind of have it kind of go this way. And then this could be slightly up. And then down slightly like that. Alright, and then I think maybe even for the ears, I could push this out, push this in. Yeah, I could push this in slightly. I usually don't do the ears much, but since he has no hair, I think it'll be too noticeable. That's too symmetrical, the ears. Right, something like that would be fine. So it's very, very subtle what I've done there. And maybe even here I could go and lock this and this, and then I'm just gonna go and slightly move this down. There you go. Maybe down slightly. All right, good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and Alt H to show everything again. And first thing that you could see that the eyebrows and the eyelashes, you see it's no longer aligned because we made some adjustments here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hide the hair for now, and this is very noticeable. I'm going to go ahead and select that. I'm going to go to my sculpt mode and turn off the lock, and I'm going to go and just pull this up. So this is the tear duct. I'll pull that up, pull this up. Go. And also we have this here, which is now it's kind of hiding. When I was a little issue when I was moving this down, I think I was also touching the other side. So when I manipulate this here, gonna hide the hair. Yeah, when I'm manipulating this, I want to make sure I'm not manipulating the other side. If I go to sculpt mode, turn off symmetry. So make sure you turn off symmetry for this. So I had to undo that. And then do it again so that it's not doing this side, because this side is fine. You can go to sculpt mode, maybe kind of move this down slightly so you can see a bit more. All right, now I'm gonna go to this here, go to sculpt mode and turn off symmetry. Make sure you do that. And lift this up. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna go ahead and hit the tab key, hover my mouse over here. You know what? It's probably best to do the sculpt mode and just kind of lift this up. Here you go. Lift that up. Let's not forget this side. Go. Fast way to do it, and then kind of bring it down. Again. This. Okay, I think that's fine. Now, show the hair. Go and show the hair. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the eyebrows first. It's too thin. I could barely see what's going on. I know that it's fine in Unreal Engine, but I'm gonna go ahead and crank up the amount here of the display amount and the render amount. I set to 10 and 10. I'm not gonna export out the hair anymore because I'm good with the hair. Oh, actually, we do need to export out the hair because we are gonna make changes here. But yeah, just remember the original amount that you had. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to particle edit. So we only want to manipulate one side. So in order to do that, while we are on our comb brush, go to the arrow right here or press N to bring this up, and then you're gonna see the mirror is turned on. So just make sure that you turn that off so you're not mirroring it. And then yeah, we go to our comb brush and then turn off the root positions here so that way you're able to lift up the eyebrow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press B and just select everything here. And you know what? That's a little bit hard to see. I'm going to go and deselect that. None, Alt A. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do it without selecting. It's easier to see. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lift this up like this. So, you know, his eyebrows kind of up because I lift up the brow ridge. And you know what? Just do it very subtly. Very subtle. There you go. And then you know what? I'm probably going to just keep this down. I'm not going to move that down. So maybe just something like that would be fine. And kind of move this down. Yeah, I'm going to go look on this side. Make sure that it's still sticking to the skin. You see it's sticking to the skin. I'm going to make sure that I pull that back in. I'm gonna go ahead and push this in, push this in. Go. All right, great. I'm gonna go and put the value back. I said to, no, I'm gonna set it to 5 and 5. All right, and I'm gonna go back to the, I'm gonna go to the lashes here. You can see that it's definitely off since we made some changes here. This one is fine. We didn't make any changes to the eye here. But I'm gonna go here and go to particle edit, and I'm gonna turn off mirror. Okay, yeah, so make sure that the root position is off. And yeah, you could quickly like lift it up like that, right? But I think probably a faster way to do this is I'm gonna go and hide my display amount. Okay, go to particle edit. You know, I'm gonna hide the children. There you go. This way it's easier to see. And what we could also do is we could select this, the ones that are not on the surface. You see how it's kind of floating, some of these. You could select that. You could press G to just kind of lift it up, right? You could select, you could even go to your selection here, select lasso. You could select everything that's kind of like just floating there, and then Control L. You could press G to just kind of lift it up like that, right? And then kind of lift it up like this. Same thing right here. I'm gonna go and select the other areas here that are just not. So this, what else? Maybe this, hold shift key and select these. Control L, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of lift it up. You could press G and then Z to just kind of lift it up. Alt A to deselect, and I'm gonna select this here. Control L, press G and then Z to kind of lift it up. And I'm gonna go back to my display amount and set it back to 8. And I'm gonna make sure that I have my children turned on and object mode. Now I'm gonna go back to this one here. You can see it's off because we also made some changes here. So I'm gonna go back to my particle edit, turn off children, and you know, I could just go ahead and I could probably select all of these and press G and then Z. There you go. And I'm gonna hover my mouse over here, press L, press G and then Z to kind of move it down. And I think that's it. All right. And I think for the beard, I did make a few changes here. Maybe it's not that noticeable. I think I don't have to move anything for the beard. So what I'm gonna do is, since we made some changes to this here, we're gonna have to export out our hair again, and not just the hair, but you see our meshes here. We're gonna have to export that out. Let's go ahead and hide our hair and hide our lights and cameras. And before we select all of these and combine all of these again, we have to go and check our vertex, our group section here, our data object properties. Scroll down and then go to UV maps. Okay, so you need to make sure that if you select each of these, they should have the same name for the UV maps here. Okay, so you can see if I select this, it says diffuse UV. Here it says UV map. If I select the holster, UV map. If I select this, UV map. I think most of them are called UV map, so I'm just gonna name it like that. So what I'm gonna do, this is very important if you wanna be able to combine all of these, and then when you put it inside Unreal Engine, you're not gonna have any errors. So just make sure that you select and then go to UV map and make sure they're all the same name under UV map. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go change this from diffuse UV to UV map. Map. Press enter. And you see, just put .001. That's because we have this right here, which we have to select and remove. and then go back here and then just make sure it's just UV map. And I'm gonna go to the holster. Yep, that's UV map. This here is UV map. So just double check your stuff here. Yeah, I think all of these are UV map. I think it's UV map. And if it's not, and you combine all of these, and the texture, there's an issue with the texture when you put it in Unreal, that's because you probably forgot, you're probably missing, you forgot to rename one of these, you know? So I'm gonna go ahead here and call this UV map. Okay, press down my numpad, gonna zoom in. Oh my goodness, this one also is an issue. And this one here. Okay, so the crinkle also is an issue. Alright, so I'm gonna go to each of my mesh here and then just rename them properly. I'm gonna pause this video and get back to you guys. Alright guys, so I just went to each of my mesh here and made sure that under the UV map that they all have the same name. And after all that, we could go ahead and combine all of our meshes here. You could select everything and Control J. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and export out this mesh here. I'm gonna go ahead and export in FBX, selected objects only, and I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go to my FBX folder and I'm gonna call this one Portrait Michael. Alright, and I'm gonna go export that out. There you go. We also need to export out the hair, so because we made some changes to the positioning of the hair. So we could go ahead and turn this on. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide the mesh. Press H. Yeah, I'm gonna go and select all of these. Or you could hold Shift, click, select all of these, export Alembic, and make sure you set the scale to 100. End, frame start, and end is at 1. Selected objects only, visible objects, hold Shift, click and drag to uncheck these. And export hair, export particles, and I'm gonna go to hair, and I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna call this one hair underscore portrait, and export Alembic. Here you go. Back in Unreal Engine, let's go ahead and import everything that we have exported out of Blender. I'm gonna go to my characters folder and I'm gonna create a brand new folder in here and call it Portrait. Enter. And then I'm gonna double click to go inside, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag the FBX file that I exported out of Blender, drag it over here, and we're gonna see this import options. We don't need a skeletal mesh because it's not like we're gonna animate this. And for the material, we could create new materials so that we could use the materials that we add here. We could link it to the new one that we're importing. Import all, and just wait for a bit. All right, there it is, and we can just X that out. And this is our character right here, the static mesh, Portrait Michael. We could go ahead and double click inside it. And if we go take a look, you can see that everything is just shiny. We're going to be using the material that we have used for our character that we have here already. That's the same materials that we have here. We're going to link it to these here. Okay. And this is really annoying me, the focal point. I'm going to go over here and change the focal point to, I think 50 is fine. All right. So yeah, so let's go ahead and go to our material slots here and just go through each of these, and let's go to our old material that we have already set up in the previous videos. I think I have it in my animations folder. And starting out with the eyeball, I think the eyeball actually I have it in the MetaHuman folder, so I'm just gonna go to the all folder here, and then I'm gonna type in refract, and using the MI refract instance, I'm gonna click on there and then click on use reset use selected asset from content browser. There you go. So you can see we have the eye right there. And we have the outfit right here. So we could go and choose our outfit. I have it in my animations folder. Yeah, I'm gonna go and remove the refract, X that out. Okay, so that's gonna be for the outfit. So the outfit is right here. I'm gonna click on this and then click on this little arrow right here. Okay, so you can see that it's no longer shiny, the outfit. It's kind of like what we have in the third person view scene. And then for the head and arms right here, yeah, I'm gonna select this and then click on this little arrow. Okay, great. And then for the caruncle area, which is this, click here. And the tear duct is gonna be the lacrimal. So I'm gonna go to my all folder and I'm gonna type in LA, and which is this right here, and I'm gonna go click there. All right. Yep. So everything is in there. Okay, cool. And could go ahead and just save that out and exit that out. Great. Let's also go ahead and import our hair. So I'm gonna go to my characters folder, and I'm gonna, if you don't see anything, that's because you still have the search words that you have here. Just exit that out. And I'm gonna go to my characters folder and go to my hair folder, and I'm gonna drag in the new hair that I have exported out of Blender, which is gonna be the hair portrait Alembic file. I'm gonna click and drag that on there and onto the group import options. For the rotation and scale, make sure you have it just like mine, 90:00. Scale is 1, -1, and 1. Hit import, and there you go. Now we have to go and create a new level for our portrait scene. You can just go to the content folder and go to file and new level. And this time we are actually going to be using the empty level. So there's not going to be any lights or cameras in here. It's going to be just pure black when you first open it, because we're going to be setting up our own cinematic photography studio here with our own lights and cameras. So click on that and hit create. And this is all you see there, right? And all you see is untitled editor. And let's go ahead and click on file, and let's go ahead and save this, save current level as, and I'm just gonna go ahead and save it in the content folder. That way I'm gonna be able to find it here in the content area here. And I'm gonna go ahead and name it portrait underscore map. It's fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. There you go. And we could go to our stuff that we have exported out, the FBX mesh. So we're gonna go to the portrait here, and I have it right there, the portrait Michael underscore Michael. And we could go ahead and drag it to the scene, click and drag. And right now it looks like it's just glowy. Don't worry, once we put in our light here, it's not gonna look like this. But once you drag it in there, a way for you to navigate here easily is to, once you put in your mesh here, go to your transform right away and just set it to 000, the location. Okay, location here, and the positioning, just set it to 0 and 0. That way it's better to align things if you're putting objects here. And you could press F to just kind of zoom in. All right, and we could go ahead and also put in the hair. So you go to hair and just click and drag it right here. And then for the hair portrait, let's also set it to 0, 0, and 0. All right, so you can see it's right on top. Now we could go ahead and add a light here. And once we add a light, I believe we're not going to see anything glowy like this anymore. So we could go ahead and to create a light, click on the plus sign, go to lights, and the great light that we could use here to create a nice soft light is going to be rectangular light. So click on that, and then let's go ahead and just move this at 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0 again. And then we could go ahead and move it like this, and then move it up, and then we could just kind of rotate this in this direction. There you go. So like that. I actually want a light coming from this direction and pointing at him, so at an angle. So that's going to be the main light. And then I'm going to add a rim light coming from here at the back. And then we're also going to add the fill light if it gets too dark. So yeah, so with that, we could go ahead with that light that we have created. We could go ahead and rename it. Go ahead and go over here. I'm going to press F2 and I'm going to call it rec light underscore main. And we could go ahead and go to the move tool and just kind of move it back. And then just kind of go ahead and move it up. I'm just going to rotate this and rotate it like this. And of course, you could also, right now it is way too bright. We could go with our light selected. You could see the properties for the light here. You could see the intensity and you could also see the color. We could change any of these really, but we could go ahead and set this to a lower value. Maybe I'm going to set it to 1. And as you can see, look at the hair. It looked like he has blonde hair, so we definitely got to change the hair. And I think before we do that, we could go ahead and just keep on adjusting the light so not everything is so bright. So in the intensity here, we could go ahead and set it to maybe 0.5, maybe 0.1. Okay, so kind of like that would be fine. And you could see how there's the nice glistening and the specularity of the color. And you could even see the lips, very nice. And to make sure that we're going to be able to render ray trace shadows, we need to make sure that we have ray trace shadows on for our light. So with our light selected, we could go to our search here and just type in ray trace. And right now it looks like it's frozen. So what we could do is we could go to our project settings here. And then we could, on the search here, let's type in ray trace. Okay, and you could see here hardware ray tracing. Just go ahead and turn on support hardware tracing, and then we can minimize this. And if you go here, you can see it's still frozen, and because we have to restart this. But before we restart it, let's go to edit, project settings, and also make sure that I'm going to type in ray trace again. Make sure that you have ray trace shadow turned on also. So ray trace shadow on and support hardware ray tracing. Make sure that's on. X that out and make sure you go to file, save all before you restart this. Okay, so it's saving everything. Okay, so everything, all the meshes that we have put in here are saved. The hair is saved and the map that we have created, everything's saved. So let's go ahead and restart now. All right, and there you go. My scene is open again, and I'm going to go to my content area and just open my portrait map. Double click here and just wait for it to load, and there it is. And yeah, now I'm going to go back to my light, the rectangular light that I have made, and I'm going to type in ray trace again on the search here. And yeah, so just make sure you click on where it says use project setting and make sure you click on enabled. There you go. So when we render this out, ray trace shadowing and everything, our shadow will be a lot softer. All right, and yeah, in the next video, we are going to adjust our lighting, create the cameras, and we're also going to be adjusting the hair here.